Chief Roundtree, and welcome to the June Public Safety Media Briefing. Our order for today will be the Police Department, followed by Chief Trey Mayo of the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Before we get started, I do want to take this opportunity to thank all the men and women of the Winston-Salem Police Department for what you do every day to ensure that we have a safe and productive city. And also, as customary, before we get to our monthly topics, I'd like to honor and remember the officers of Winston-Salem who have lost their lives during the month of June while serving. June 26 marks the date that when Lieutenant Aaron Jerome Tice lost his life while serving. In the watch was June 26, 1992. The cause of death was a vehicular assault. Incident details. Lieutenant Tice was intentionally struck and killed by a suspect operating a stolen piece of construction equipment. The suspect directed the motor grader towards Lieutenant Tice's patrol vehicle as Lieutenant Tice attempted to move away. As the grader collided with the patrol car, Lieutenant Tice attempted to exit the vehicle through the passenger's door. However, his leg became stuck and he was unable to totally exit the vehicle. The suspect was thrown from the motor grader. Upon impact, the motor grader dragged the patrol car down the road and hit another police vehicle and stopped after crossing a main road. By the time officers were able to get to Lieutenant Tice, he had passed away. I would like for us all to pause for a moment as we remember and honor Lieutenant Tice, as well as other law enforcement professionals who have lost their lives while serving during the month of June. Let us pause for a moment. Thank you. Our list of topics this month, we will have a presentation by Behind the Blue Line. And that will be provided by the Blue Line President, Sarah Langdon. Auto breaking and larcenies, lock your vehicle, will be provided by Investigator Horsley. Vacation safety, Sergeant Stan Koboski. We also have a missing person information appeal and update that will be provided by Lieutenant Tolley. And we also have a homicide information appeal that will be provided by Detective Ognoski. And then I'll come back up with some upcoming events of the police department. At this time, Sarah Langdon, will you come forward?
Good morning. Chief Roundtree invited me here to speak Behind the Blue Line. We are a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2007 following the line of duty death of Sergeant Howard J. Pluff. At that time, the spouses and families of the Winston-Salem Police Department and its officers recognized the need to develop a formalized support plan for line of duty incidents and also incidents that happen in the course of everyday life to our officers. We are grateful for the support of Chief Roundtree, the command staff, and all the officers of the Winston-Salem Police Department. Some of the many things that Behind the Blue Line is able to do: we provide meals, we provide transportation, we provide pet care, child care. We determine all of those needs based on the individual officer and the situation. I'm grateful that we have a wonderful executive committee for Behind the Blue Line. Myself, our Vice President, Mary Beth Brandon, our Secretary, Carrie Ann Gillis, and our Treasurer, Denise Knight, in addition to multiple committee chairs, including those that accompany me here today, who work tirelessly to make sure that the needs of the Winston-Salem officers and our non-sworn personnel are met on a daily basis. We primarily engage in long-term support planning. We recognize that when incidents happen on duty, there's often a long-term follow-up that occurs with that officer, whether it be medical care, extended leave, physical therapy, extended family needs, a multitude of needs that can take months or years sometimes. So Behind the Blue Line specializes in coordinating those efforts. We have multiple community connections. We are able to be a liaison at both hospitals. We have membership that includes folks that are on staff at both Baptist and Forsyth Hospital so that we can help families and significant others navigate those complicated healthcare situations. We also do a variety of community support. Winston-Salem Police Department is a vital part of our community, and as such, it's very important to us to support the Forsyth County and surrounding communities as well. We do that through volunteering at Build-A-Bear, Brenner's Children's Hospital. We work with the Winston-Salem Police Department food booth during the Dixie Classic Fair. We also engage in multiple other service opportunities around the city as needed. Two of us, myself and our current Vice President, Mary Beth Brandon, have prior experience with the U.S. Army and the Family Readiness Group structure that they have there, and so we've brought that experience to bear as we've developed Behind the Blue Line here to support our officers. Also, Behind the Blue Line is a support mechanism. Being in law enforcement lifestyle, as many of you know, is very difficult and challenging and very rewarding at the same time. So being able to share in that experience with others is extremely important for our daily coping, our daily mental health, and also being able to reach out to those who are struggling with this lifestyle. I'm proud to say that many other local departments, including the Greensboro Police Department, have reached out to us to find out more about our model and what we're doing here so that they can implement that in their agencies. We also engage in Law Enforcement Week activities. We frequently send representatives up to the vigils that occur in DC, and we coordinate multiple events here along with the Forsyth County Law Enforcement Memorial Foundation to remember those officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice. We're grateful for the chief and the command staff that have now included Behind the Blue Line as part of the standard response for Winston-Salem Police Department in the time of a line of duty incident. All command staff and frontline supervisors have a Behind the Blue Line resource sheet and contact information and can reach us at a moment's notice. And thank you for all the support of the officers, their families, our membership, which includes spouses, significant others, parents, children, siblings. We're grateful for all of you and the work that you do every single day. At this time, I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions for Behind the Blue Line. Thank you again, Chief, for your support and for your invitation to speak here today.
Okay. And before you leave, I do have something for you. I do want to thank you and all the members of Behind the Blue Line for everything that you do for the men and women of the Winston-Salem Police Department. I do have a certificate for Behind the Blue Line, and it does read, "An appreciation for each member's dedication, service, and support to the Winston-Salem Police Department." And it is presented this day, June the 14th, 2017. So thank you for everything that each one of you do every day to support the police department. You want to accept it?
Thank you so much. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to ask Investigator Horsley to come up.
Good morning. Again, I'm Investigator Stephen Horsley with the Winston-Salem Police Department. I work at the Field Services Bureau as one of the auto break-in investigators. And today, again, I'm here to talk to you on the topic of please lock your doors.
Leaving your car unlocked? It's an invitation to thieves.
Leaving your car unlocked? It's an invitation to thieves.
Leaving your valuables in your unlocked car is a great way to no longer have your valuable items. And if you do happen to do that, please record your serial numbers for us. But securing your valuables out of sight and not visible, as well as leaving your car doors unlocked, will significantly reduce what we're going to do. And I know we've seen the service announcements before, but now I'm going to play a video of why we request that you leave your doors locked. in both the incidents that you've seen, as the suspect approaches running through the neighborhood, as you've seen, and we'll play it again because it's fairly quick. In this incident, he walked up. The homeowner had been alerted by the light outside, and as you can see, it's very short, and in the same in this one. They walk up, they pull on the handles, the door's locked, the vehicle is left secured, and there was no break-in. In both of those incidents, there were incidents in the surrounding neighborhoods where the vehicles were left unlocked and items were taken. So once again, please lock your doors. That would cut down tremendously on the amount of auto break-ins that we have in the city. Very few are actual smash and grabs, and when those are from valuables being left visible in the car. Leaving your purse, your computer, anything of value visible is also something that we encourage you not to do. Take everything out of your car. The other thing is leaving a spare set of keys in your unlocked car for the car parked right next to it. Please refrain from doing that. I know we all want to keep up with our keys, and sometimes it's easier to get them in and out, but that's also one of our causes of theft of automobiles as of late as well. And these are, as we've talked about from last summer to this summer, as the summer increases, so do these type of incidents because more and more people are out. Are there any questions?
Why do you suppose it is that people don't lock their car doors? Is it that I live in a good neighborhood, I don't have to worry about it mentality?
Honestly, I wish I could answer that question for you. Sometimes it's just a matter of quick, they just forget, they assume that they've locked their door, they hit the key fob and they don't double check. They rely on those things and they just assume that, you know, they've locked it. Any other questions? All right, well, I thank you for your time, and I'm going to call up Sergeant Stan Karbowski now, who will be talking about vacation safety.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Stan Karbowski. I'm the Community Resources Supervisor for the Winston-Salem Police Department. I'd like to take a couple moments and talk about vacation safety and security while we're enjoying this time of year. Personally, for me, vacation time is one of the most wonderful times of year. I absolutely love it, as do a lot of other people. You know, it's something we look forward to for months and months and spend a lot of money and time trying to plan the best vacation that we can. You know, between travel, lodging, meals, activities on site, and incidentals, we make a significant financial commitment every time that we go out of town. In fact, vacationing has such an impact on the economy of the United States that it is the second largest industry in the country. So this also feeds into a lot of additional peripheral businesses that make a living off of the tourist. Unfortunately, the criminal also makes a living off of the tourist. And there's a long-standing relationship between tourism and crime. So why is this so? Simply put, tourists make lucrative targets. Sometimes it's through incidental contact with the criminal. They just happen to bump into them and they become just a person of opportunity. Other times they are intentional targets of this criminal that has focused their entire scheme of making money off the tourists, for example, selling counterfeit goods, maybe even entrapping them into some form of scam. So these things are very real. Tourists tend to carry a lot of money with them. And other valuables that are easily converted into cash. So we have to take and watch that. We're also more likely to be relaxed while we are out and about on vacation. Unfortunately, not everyone else is relaxed. They are looking at people as a way to make money. And a tourist is also generally less likely to respond back to the location of incident and testify in court, because again, they'll have to have that impact of money and just time to go back. So we're going to go over a few things that will make the person or make the vacationer less likely to become a target of a criminal act. So generally, we can take a look at a vacation as happening in three parts. First of all, we're home. You know, home is where it all begins and ends when we return. We have to get to where we're going, you know, plane, train, automobile, however we're going, we still have to get to our destination. And our destination, which is what should be our happy place, unfortunately for some, this turns into somewhat of a nightmare. Maybe not through their own doings, it might be something totally out of their control. You know, on a personal level, my family, we just happened to have been on vacation during 9/11. This ended up causing a great disruption in our plans, and we're going to speak a little bit about maybe how we dealt with that a little bit. But first of all, we start at the home. You know, my wife tells me that, you know, I'm a planner. She doesn't like this. I want to know how far we're going that day, where we're stopping, you know, just a whole bunch of stuff. So planning is so important. It says, you know, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. So who will check on your home? Checking on your home is a very important thing. You know, we advocate for people to stop their mail, stop their deliveries, stop their paper deliveries. You know, there's a second train of thought on this, that they don't want to let people telegraph to people that we're going out of town. So if you do this, ensure that the person that is checking on your home is going to pick up your mail. Sure that they're going to pick up the packages and any flyers that may have been left. These tend to signal the criminal that when things stack up, that this person is no longer at home. You also want to ensure that you have all of your important paperwork with you. Insurance cards in case something goes wrong, identification. Make sure everyone is going with you has identification, including young children. You want a list of your medicines. You never know if you're going to get sick and have to go to the emergency room. If you're going out of the country, take a copy of your passport, not only the original, but a copy, and also of your visas. If it should happen to become lost or stolen, you can respond back to the local consulate or State Department, embassy in the country that you're visiting, and it'll help speed the process of receiving a new one. Also, you might want to consider having a pet sitting service come to your home to take care of your pets. This is an added layer of protection where someone will continually be checking on your home multiple times a day. Also, want to do your research about the destination that you're going. For example, what type of crime rate is at your destination, especially if you've never been there before. Also, if you're leaving the country, currency exchange. You know, you mentioned a significant financial impact. You don't want to get ripped off by going to a disreputable currency exchange location. We would advocate that you either use a well-known reputable bank, or even a travel agent can arrange to have that currency exchange for you at an appropriate rate. What medical facilities are available to you? You know, a lot of people leave with pre-existing conditions. You know, again, speaking of my family, we had a relative that we took on vacation with us who had cancer, and it was rather developed. We made sure that our destinations had the facilities there to help take care of that person. We pre-arranged it with the oncologist here in Winston-Salem to coordinate with our destination, and so they knew what was happening in case our family member became sick. If you are leaving the country, we ask that you visit the State Department's website to find out if there's any travel advisories. This is very important because sometimes we go to places that aren't exactly safe. You know, people go on mission trips, people go on adventure trips. And these locations sometimes are, you know, less than ideal locations. And also a very good idea for someone that's going overseas is to pre-register your trip with the State Department. By doing so, the State Department will know not only that you're in the country, but also that you are, your specific itinerary, that if something should happen where you are, that they can reach out to you and make sure that you're okay, that you're accounted for, and they can also provide any resources that you may need to get out of that specific location. So pre-registering is a very good way to go. Also, you know, people tend to carry firearms with them for, you know, whatever reason. We ask that the traveler know the concealed carry laws, not only at your destination, but through the states that you're going. We advocate a know before you go policy. Know what's happening, know what your rights are when, you know, securing your home. So far in 2016, the Winston-Salem Police Department investigated 3,278 house breakings. This actually, even though it's a large number, it actually represented an 11% decrease over the previous year. Now, during what I would call the traditional vacation period, May through August roughly, we investigated just under 1,000 house breakings. My section took a look at those house breakings and found that at least 72 occurred while the occupant of the home was on vacation. So this is a very real thing that happens, and we want to make sure that people understand that sometimes people on vacation are specifically targeted. Some simple precautions that we advocate every day is you should lock your doors and windows. For example, don't leave a window open for the cat to go in and out. Doors and windows tend to be the most vulnerable locations for a attack on your home for a breaker. Make sure your garage door is down. Sometimes you get in a hurry, forget to mash that button. It'd be a terrible thing to have your garage door up all, for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Also, if you think about it, to take and unplug the power cord to an automatic garage door opener, as someone may be going around with a universal remote. Think about lights on timers and securing easily removable items such as patio furniture, lawn mowers, blowers, any grills, anything outside that can be easily taken. And also use a trusted friend. The key is a trusted friend. Don't just use a casual acquaintance to check on your home and collect those things like mail, flyers, and other items that may be left at your residence. The more often someone is at your home, checking on your home, or occupying your home, the less opportunity the criminal has to take an act. Also, we mentioned while we were out on vacation, 9/11 occurring, is to consider travel insurance. This is a great way that if something does happen wrong, is to lessen your personal financial impact. Luggage gets lost, luggage gets stolen. It's not a perfect system, even though it's gotten a whole lot better. People suffer serious injuries or illness while they're on vacation. Just recently there was a story in the news about a young lady from North Carolina who was attacked by a shark in the Bahamas. She had to be medevaced from the Bahamas back to the United States. Someone has to pay for that, and that may not come under your traditional medical insurance. So having that type of insurance may be very good. Sometimes your stay gets involuntarily extended, as ours did. We had additional hotel nights we had to pay for with transportation back to home. We had to use a rental car. So this is, like I said, a great way to lessen the financial impact. We also want to watch our social media exposure. People tend to put too much on social media, so really watch that. Ensure your vehicle is in good working order. There's some things on here: properly inflated tires, avoid your breakdowns, and also child restraint seats. Make sure that we're using properly installed seats. Plan your route. Want to identify some routes in advance. Take frequent breaks. They recommend every 2 hours from some of the travel businesses. And when you stop for the night, plan that in advance. Now we're looking at our hotels. Things such as inside rooms using car keys, or not car keys, but room cards instead of keys is a great way to help improve your security. On-site security is a plus, and most importantly, keep your doors locked at all times. Even when you're in the room, don't give someone the opportunity to come in. When you're out and about on the town, limit the amount of cash you carry, avoid traveling alone, shop at reputable outlets that'll help you avoid receiving fakes, and let your group know where you're going and when you plan to return. Remain alert while at the pool or the beach. You can't watch your children and your property at the same time. Personally, the kids are more important than the property, and drowning only takes a minute. So, please watch your kids and make a plan where to meet if you're separated. Sometimes things, like I said, don't go as planned, and you're going to want to, have something in place for when that does. Return home, some simple things. Make sure you have all your receipts. Avoid unscrupulous people that may add additional tips. Check your room to ensure you have everything. And again, take the same travel precautions that you did on your way there to your way back. when you get home, check your residence. You don't want to walk in on somebody that's actually robbing it for signs of obvious forced entry. See if anything is missing. If it looks suspicious, call the police. It's our job to check it out. Restart your mail and start thinking about your next vacation. We have additional resources on our website, wspd.org, that you can move in or visit it at any time. And the Community Resources Unit's available to answer any questions that you may have. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Would it be fair to say that people break in your homes or take the property, is somebody joining the neighborhood instead of an outsider coming in and not knowing who might be there, who may not be there? Is it fair to say that?
I don't necessarily think that that's a fair characterization. People come from all over. They'll move from one side of town to the other, sometimes even from different towns into here. One of the things that we see people get their cars broken into at the airport while they're away, and they leave their GPS. People out there will use the GPS and already has your home address. They know you're going to be away, and they'll plug it in and come. So it's really, the target of opportunity.
Let me add, sometimes it is people who are familiar with your home. Also, Sergeant Kabowski, he emphasized watch your social media. If you put on social media, I'm gonna be at the beach for a week, somebody come into your house that week while you're away. And a lot of times it is for people who are familiar with your home. They know what you have in your home. Now, that's not all cases, but sometimes that's the case.
Lieutenant Steve Tollett.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Tolling. I'm a lieutenant, and I have the privilege of serving in the Police Department's Patrol Division. My purpose in speaking with you this morning is to very briefly make another appeal for information regarding a missing person investigation that we are conducting. Depicted on the screen is a recent photograph of 61-year-old Mary Smith. The Winston-Salem Police Department has been investigating Miss Smith's disappearance since she was reported missing in May of this year. At the time Miss Smith disappeared, she had no permanent address, but we have been able to determine that on March the 1st of this year, she registered as a guest at the Roadway Inn at 3810 North Patterson Avenue. Ms. Smith was a guest at the hotel until March the 9th, and we have been able to determine that her electronic key was utilized on March the 9th during her stay there. So we believe that she was active in the community, and everything was fine as of March the 9th at the motel at 3810 North Patterson Avenue. Ms. Smith's family became concerned about her well-being after not hearing from her for a considerable amount of time, and determining that Ms. Smith has not accessed her funds from her Social Security account. She didn't access those funds in April, and she didn't access those funds in May. Those funds are Ms. Smith's only known means of financial support, so it is concerning that she didn't access them. The reason I'm reaching out to you to appeal for information from anyone who may know anything about Ms. Smith's disappearance is Ms. Smith's lifestyle makes it difficult for us as investigators to locate her, to find her. Ms. Smith didn't carry a cell phone. She didn't utilize credit cards or bank accounts. She doesn't operate a motor vehicle. She's not active on social media. Those are all avenues that would have assisted us in finding her, and unfortunately they're avenues that we can't pursue right now. I can tell you Ms. Smith frequented the 800 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and used to live in that area. We were able to speak with some merchants and confirm that she was seen in that area on March the 4th of this year. However, since March the 4th, we've had no physical sighting of Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith is 61 years of age. She's approximately 5 foot tall, and she weighs approximately 110 pounds. At the time she was last seen, she was reported to have dark clothing on, and she has a habit of wearing a pair of Champion brand tennis shoes that are gray in color with a lime green stripe. Again, I wanted to bring Miss Smith's disappearance to your attention and appeal to you and your viewers that if anyone has any information on her whereabouts, to contact the police department. If you were a guest at the motel on Patterson Avenue between March the 1st and March the 9th and had any interaction with Miss Smith, had any information about who she may have associated with while she was at the hotel, we would appreciate you contacting and let us know. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I thank you for your time, and at this point I'm going to introduce Homicide Detective Ognoski to the podium, please.
Morning. I'm Detective Michael Ognoski. I work in our department's homicide unit, and I'm here today to appeal to the citizens of our city for information on a unsolved homicide that occurred back on March the 27th on this year at 1:59 p.m. at 903 Rich Avenue. The victim in that case is LaDawn Morgan. She was 19 years old. She suffered a gunshot wound to her abdomen at that house. She was transported to Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, where she later succumbed to her injuries. There's a second victim who was Alexander Barber. He was a 79-year-old male. He was sitting inside his vehicle a couple houses south of this location, and he was struck once in the face with a projectile. This homicide was not a random act. This was a result of an ongoing dispute between two different groups of individuals in our city. They decided to settle their dispute with the use of firearms. One group was already at 903 Rich Avenue, on the front porch of the yard of that house. The second group arrived at 903 Rich Avenue in several different vehicles. Gunshots were exchanged between at least one party from each group. Several projectiles struck the house at 903 Rich Avenue and also struck the vehicle parked in the driveway at 903 Rich Avenue. One projectile struck a vehicle parked on the street several houses to the north of 903 Rich Avenue, and one projectile, like I said earlier, struck Alexander Barber Jr. in his face, and one struck LaDawn Morgan in her abdomen. LaDawn Morgan, it's important to note, was not involved in this dispute whatsoever. She's an innocent victim who had her whole life ahead of her. She was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was there visiting friends, and she was, again, not involved in this dispute. Like I said, innocent victim who did not deserve what happened to her. Through several interviews with different witnesses, a person of interest has been identified with the following description: black male with his hair styled in dreadlocks that go below his shoulders. At this point in time, that individual's identity is known to law enforcement. We have received information shortly after the shooting that that individual possibly fled to Atlanta, Georgia, or an unknown location in Florida. We have recently received information that our person of interest is back in Winston-Salem, and we are attempting to locate him for an interview. Again, this is an active and ongoing homicide investigation. We have interviewed several individuals from both groups. We're attempting to locate additional individuals from each group for more interviews. We have several items of evidence that are currently being tested at the lab, and we're hopeful that we'll have some digital evidence back in the very near future that will help us with this case. We are asking anyone in the community that has information on this case, we also to call Crime Stoppers or the police department at those numbers. We feel that there were additional individuals that were out on that street when this homicide happened that we may not be aware of their identity at this point in time, and we're asking them to come forward to help bring closure to the family of LaDawn Morgan. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce Michael Warren, the uncle of LaDawn Morgan, and he's going to give a brief statement.
Thank you. Justice. Until you seek it and can't find it, sometimes you don't know what it means, but it's what we're looking for. Not revenge, for that is of the Lord, but justice is what we seek. Justice for my sister, April Warren, her mom. Justice for the sleepless nights she's having. Justice for the hard times she's having at work life in general. Justice for a dead Fred. Justice and help for Fred, for what he's going through, for what the family was going through, for what the Morgan Warren extended family is going through. Justice is what we seek. And we need your help for it. Winston-Salem County, we need your help. And most of all, we seek justice for LaDon Dion Morgan, my niece, beloved sister, cousin, and friend. Justice is what we seek. LaDon was 19 years old. And like all 19-year-old females these days, she loved the phone. She loved doing the social media thing. She loved hanging around with her friends. She loves music. She loves Chris Brown. Me personally, I want justice for the things in life that she was never able to experience. I mean, you guys in here remember being 19. I mean, she never got to experience her first car. Remember your first car? Everybody does. She never got to experience. Moving out of the house, maybe getting your first home, first apartment. She's never getting experience. I'm sure you guys remember it very much, first home. She never found that right guy to marry and settle down with. Have kids, raise a family. It's taken from her. We need justice for LaDon. More than me, more than anyone else, she needs justice. Again, vengeance is not what we seek. Justice is what we seek. And last but not least, I want to thank the person who's going to help us get justice. Person or people who come forward with the right information, and you know who you are. Whether you do it publicly, whether you do it anonymously, however you want to do it. I want to thank you on behalf of myself and the family for doing it. LaDon wants to thank you for the justice that you would have for her. Again, we ask that you continue to pray for our family. Thank you.
At this point, does anyone have any general questions about this presentation? All right. I'd like to reintroduce Chief Roundtree.
Thank you all so much for presenting. I would like to add, if you have any information, we can only solve these cases with the assistance of the public. So if you have any information about the Morgan case, you've heard from the police officers, you also heard from her family, asking for the public's help. There were numerous people out in the street that day. Somebody had some information. Think about if it was your family. Again, we can only solve these cases with the assistance of the public. So please help us bring closure for this family and bring the person responsible for this homicide to justice. Also, I would like to go back to the auto break-ins. If anybody know what this is? We ask that the public use these. We get blamed for a lot of these auto break-ins. Well, all you have to do is lock your doors. We've shown time and time again that these individuals move on when the doors are locked. So it only takes a split second to press the button that has the lock signal to lock your vehicle and remove any valuables that you have in your vehicle. That'll save us a lot of time and energy and also save you a lot of grief from trying to replace your property. I do want to close with a few upcoming events that we have here at the police department. We have our Youth Police Academy that will be June the 26th through the 30th. If you're an individual, a young individual between the ages of 16 and 18, and you would like to attend, it is a week-long Youth Police Academy. Contact Officer Claudia Morgan at area code 336-408-8126. Also, our next Coffee with a Cop will be located at the Starbucks on Jonestown Road, 605 Jonestown Road, 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Also, we're still recruiting for police officers and several other positions in the police department. If you're interested in being a police officer here in Winston-Salem, please contact our recruiting unit and also check out the other available positions that we have. You can contact the recruiting unit at 773-7925, or either you can call toll-free 1-800-877-777-WSPD. Those are all the topics that we have for this morning. If there are no other questions, I'll introduce Chief Trey Mayo of the Winston-Salem Fire Department.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Our presentation this morning is going to be fairly brief and focused. Fire and Life Safety Educator Sabrina Stowe is going to come up and talk about stovetop fire stops and fireworks safety as we approach the Independence Day holiday. We've talked to you about stovetop fire stops before, and I am asking for the public's attention and asking for the media's assistance, begging for the media's assistance in helping us communicate to the citizens, to your viewers, to your readers, what could be described as an epidemic of cooking fires in the city of Winston-Salem. We are responding to between 70 and 100 cooking fires in a year. If 70 to 100 people were being involved in motor vehicle crashes at a railroad crossing that didn't have crossing arms, there would be outrage and calls for action. If 70 to 100 children were drowning in area swimming pools, there would be outrage and calls for action. But when 70 to 100 people set their homes on fire because of carelessness in the kitchen, we don't hear anything about it. And often these fires are occurring in multifamily residential living units and apartments and townhomes where not only is there an immediate threat to the apartment and the family and the pets who live in the apartment where the fire occurs, but when you live in a house that is attached to somebody else's house, you are subject to the carelessness of your neighbor. So cooking fires, carelessness, and inattentiveness in the kitchen is something that we need to pay very, very close attention to. It happens on a weekly basis. Firefighters are dying in this country on a weekly basis responding to these incidents. We put 12 pieces of rolling stock on the road answering a residential cooking fire, and that is dangerous. We are going against traffic. Fire trucks are big and heavy. They're an impediment to the flow of traffic, and these are unnecessary risks that we are taking because people are being careless in the kitchen. So please, folks who are listening to me, take this seriously. More people die in this country from fires every day than die randomly from acts of gun violence. I'm going to ask Sabrina to come up and talk further about it.
Good morning. I'm Sabrina Stowe, Fire and Life Safety Educator for the Winston-Salem Fire Department. First, I just want to reiterate what Chief Mayo said and about the fire suppression canisters that we have been installing in residential areas. Just want to kind of highlight the last 4 saves that we've had, beginning with April 9th, and the last 3 we had were within the same week, and these occurred on May 31st and the last 2 on June 3rd, where these devices were instrumental in preventing further damage and danger to the residents there. And I wanted to thank the media for continuing to help us to highlight the situation, as well as our Winston-Salem Marketing Communications Department, and we keep continuing to put that message out. People are hearing it, people are getting these devices. Several of these devices were ones that we installed several years ago in an effort to get these in the homes. Many of the Housing Authority residents have these installed on all of their properties. So we are grateful that this message is getting out, and we see the results of having these, that they're saving lives and they're saving property. So thank you for continuing to get that message out. Also, we want to talk about fireworks safety as the Independence Day holiday is coming up. Just to give you some information about fireworks, just want to kind of highlight some very important ones. The July 4th holiday, of course, is when we're going to see most of these fireworks being used. Most of those, or thousands of people that are injured of those, mostly are going to be children. Historically, that's been the case. Sparklers generally is the #1 cause of injuries because it's probably the most widely used type of fireworks. And as you can see, in 2013, the sparklers caused 41% of fireworks injuries. The tips of these sparklers burn over 1,200 degrees in some cases. And just in the next slide, I just wanted to show you, just as a comparison as to this temperature. And if you look at the lowest one where water boils at 212 degrees, and you compare that to the temperature of sparklers, 1,200 degrees, we're looking at some significant damage that can happen if this, burns you, or, you get injured as a result of that. We did a little test on last year where we checked the heat of these various types of fireworks, and we did find temperatures reaching 1,200 degrees and above sometimes in many of these fireworks, including those sparklers. This is a case where we took the sparkler after we lit it and just laid it on top of a can, and you can see this happened in a matter of seconds. It just melted completely through a regular drinking can, soda can. And here is an incident where we had one of the little sparkler boxes that shoots the sparklers out, and we just had some hay or straw near that, and it actually set it on fire. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind, your location. I mean, we've had some very, dry days. We can have dry periods. So you want to be careful about where you're setting off those fireworks, and just keep in mind that there can be other dangers other than burning yourself. You may also set a fire nearby. The main things we want to highlight is, in terms of tips, is it's best just to go and see a fireworks show put on by experts. That's the first tip. Of course, we know that people are going to use fireworks, in their homes or communities. If you are going to do that, please make sure that you're keeping a watchful eye on children. Also, never let them handle the fireworks, even after they've been deployed, because they can still carry a great amount of heat after they've already been set off. You want to make sure that you're staying clear of anyone's home, sheds, or anything else that is combustible. And also make sure that you have a water hose nearby so that if anything does happen, that you're prepared to mitigate any damages. Also want to talk about the legal and illegal fireworks, and this is some information provided to us in conjunction with the Winston-Salem Police Department. These are what's legal in the state of North Carolina. Any type of snakes, glowworms, your smoke devices, noisemakers, your poppers, wire sparklers, fountains, basically anything that does not explode, spin, leave the ground, or fly through the air. And those are just some examples of those legal fireworks. The illegal fireworks, firecrackers, anything that spins on the ground, your Roman candles, your bottle rockets, anything aerial, anything that leaves the ground is considered illegal in the state of North Carolina. And these are just the general statutes. I'm not going to read that to you, but it talks about the pyrotechnics, explosive caps, and also that it's unlawful to manufacture, purchase, sell, deal in, transport, possess, receive, advertise, or use, or cause to be discharged pyrotechnics unless they are to be exhibited, used or discharged at public exhibitions under the supervision of experts. So make sure you keep in mind what the general statutes and ordinances are, and just want to highlight this Winston-Salem ordinance that also refers to using and shooting off any fireworks from I think this is the shore of any lake. So you want to make sure that you understand what the laws are when you're using or purchasing any types of fireworks or explosive devices. And these are some continuations of the law. You must be 18 years old to purchase fireworks in North Carolina. And violating those laws is going to be punishable by a fine of up to $500 or imprisonment of up to 6 months. So make sure you know what the laws are. I know a lot of people will, from time to time, purchase those fireworks in South Carolina. You need to know that there are different laws in this state, in this city, so you want to make sure that you understand and know what those laws are. Want to also talk about an upcoming event for the fire department. We have our Citizens Fire Academy coming up. This will be held on Mondays, 6 to 8 p.m., beginning on August 7th, and that will continue through September 25th. This is where we ask residents of Winston-Salem to come out to learn about what the fire department does, to also learn about some fire and life safety things that they can conduct in their own homes. We teach them how to use fire extinguishers. We also talk about the stovetop fire suppression canisters. We let them see what we do with the vehicle extrication, things that are involved in the department, and just to give you an idea of what we do with the fire department and also what you can do as a private citizen. If you're interested in that, please go to our website, cityofws.org/Citizens Fire Academy, to apply to become one of our cadets for our Citizens Fire Academy. Also want to highlight another thing that we're involved in. Safe Kids does a car seat check once a month. The fire department is involved with this as well. That next one will happen on Thursday, June 29th. It's held at Babies R Us at the Haynes Commons Shopping Center. And that will go on from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. If you want to come and have your car seat check, we do recommend that you do that. We also recommend that you make an appointment or reserve a spot at the Safe Kids website at safekids@wakehealth.edu. We would need for you to bring your child, possibly if your child is available, in the car seat that they will be riding in. We would also need the car seat safety manual and the owner's manual of your car, and the height and weight of the child. So if you need your car seat checked, please come out to this event. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you. Have Chief Mayo come back up for some final words.
This concludes the June 2017 Public Safety News Conference. Before we shut down, does anybody have any questions for fire or police? Okay, well, thank you all for coming. We'll see you next month.